How has lockdown been for you? Maybe you're exhausted and stressed by it. I read a survey the other day that said that we have watched more television and streamed video services in the last 4 months than ever. It's not earth-shattering news, is it? It's what we've done. Maybe you're just back from holiday and it's been a bit of a relief. You've been exhausted by all that's been going on, and you're the people who've been working from home, trying to educate your children and entertain them, and have been concerned to look after relatives that you couldn't be near. And it's all been very stressful. And then you come back to the whole question of, can the children go back to school safely, and will that work? And so maybe it's all been a bit of a stress, and not quite at the end of your tether, but you're putting on a brave face. Let me tell you the story of Elijah. Elijah is one of these larger-than-life Bible characters. God had called him to be a prophet. This is what God says, speaking to the nation. Even the king was afraid of Elijah. Queen Jezebel was another kettle of fish, though. She made it her life's work to make sure that Elijah failed, and even wanted to see him dead. And Elijah had one of these big showstopper projects that was meant to convert the people back to God, that was meant to persuade people that believing God was a good thing. And he put so much time and effort and energy into this showstopper project. But it was just him, one man against the world, and he felt that. And by the time it had finished, he was persuaded it hadn't worked. Jezebel was still breathing out threats. The people hadn't been converted, and it was still only Elijah against the world. And so with that sense of exhaustion and failure, he ran away. He was exhausted, he was a bit depressed, and he lay down and slept. And when he woke, there was some food beside his head, so he ate the food and he fell asleep again, and gradually began to feel better. But he still felt, it's only me. But God wanted to persuade him that actually God was still there with him. And so he said to Elijah, "Go and stand on this mountain." And Elijah went to stand on the mountain. And he stood on the mountain, there was a huge wind came roaring past, shaking the mountain to bits almost. And then after the wind, there was an earthquake that just rattled everything and felt as if the world was falling apart. And then after the earthquake, there was a fire that came roaring past Elijah. And the story tells us that the Lord was not in any of these, not in the wind, not in the earthquake, not in the fire. And after that, Elijah heard what he described as the sound of a gentle whisper. And it was in that he recognized the presence of God. God was there with him. God was there to help him and to restore him. God doesn't shout at us. He doesn't tell us that we're failures or that we should do better. He doesn't tell us to pull our socks up and stop being so silly. He doesn't laugh at us when we feel weak. He listens to us when we tell our story. He listens when we talk about the things that bother us. He cares for us. He maybe helps us refocus our minds and help us understand what happens next. But patiently and kindly, he cares for us. That's what he did with Elijah. That's why the sound of the gentle whisper is such a powerful description of what God's presence is, because it speaks of someone who is gentle and patient and kind, and who only wants to help Elijah be well and be fit and be able for life and for what life holds next. God is like that with us. He listens to us. He patiently, gently, and kindly helps us, so that for whatever happens next, God is still there with us. Jesus still loves us, listening to us, caring for us, patiently and gently restoring us, and is able to walk with us.